What's good, y'all? I'm here with another video, and today we're gonna be reacting to how Adam will book the finish the story, the Cody Rhodes story. Um, this story is fairly easy, and it could have been done months ago. With the Bloodline story still going on, they should have had Cody the titles, but hey, it's probably just my opinion. You know, there's other people like, oh, he needs to go through adversity, all that BS, whatever. And then, the Roman fanboys and, everybody feel like they know how to do booking for wrestling. And then people in the comments who think they know how to book be making worse decisions than what WWE actually be doing. So it's just like, whatever, man. That's why when I'm not really feeling it, man, I just stop watching it, bro. But anyways, man, we gonna see what Adam thinks about the story, how he will book it. Usually, I've seen a couple of these. He does fairly good with these bookings, so let's see how he does it, man.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Gather round, children, and let me tell you a story. Are you sitting comfortably?
All roads led to Roman.
Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was a young boy called Cody. Cody had a father, and Cody's father was called Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
One day, someone forgot that Cody's father was Dusty Rhodes, and Cody was very sad and said, "This must never happen again." Cody went into the butcher's shop, and the butcher agreed. Dusty was Cody's father, and so Cody began to cry. Cody went to the baker's shop. "My father was Dusty Rhodes," said Cody, and like the butcher, the baker agreed. And this made Cody cry even harder.
Is he talking about his pearls? Is he talking about his promos, bro? How every time he bring up Dusty and then he just started like choking up and crying. Yo. Nah, that shit funny, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, the situation isn't funny, but like, it literally happens every time, bro. It's so funny.
This actually goes on for many more pages. We'll
Yeah, he talked about his promos.
"Oh no," said Cody. "I've torn my entire booby tit. I'm going to be out of action for over 6 months." "Well, that sure is a lot of adversity," said the doctor. "Yes," replied Cody. "My father was Dusty Rhodes."
It's a lot of adversity, but the fans, nah, it's not. He needs to go through more. The fuck are they talking about?
The doctor agreed, and Cody began to cry. We're just going to skip a few more pages. Rubber Chicken, the end. Despite that introduction, Cody Rhodes in WWE has really worked for me. Unlike in AEW, where his slightly inhuman, inflexible cornball sentimentality and uber pomp, coupled with his not always great friends and family getting consistent pushes, turned off the AEW faithful. After all, he was just a little bit sports entertainment for their taste. However, now that he's back in the land of weird wrestling robots, where the primary currency is flags and everyone wrestles a little less directly onto their head and neck, he's slotted almost directly into a role recently vacated by one John Cena. See, this version of Cody Rhodes, like 2015 and beyond John Cena, has, on average, good to great matches, is a brightly colored superhero to the kids. He cuts impassioned face promos with just a sprinkle of behind-the-scenes spice, and he wins a lot. In fact, the only noticeable difference between Cody and John Cena is that everyone was very sad that Cody lost his world title match at Wrestlemania. So let's talk about that, because that's sort of the whole point of finish the story. And what is Cody's story? Well, it's actually very similar to Drew McIntyre's story. Cody started in WWE. He got released because he was in a gimmick. He used the independent scene to radically increase his value, parlayed that value into a big return, got over with the fans thanks to good promos and good matches, won the Royal Rumble, and went on to face an unbeatable champion in the main event of WrestleMania. In both cases, undesirable to undeniable. Now, Drew won his WrestleMania match. Cody did not. Drew went on to have a title reign.
Unfortunately, Drew won his title. There were no fans present, so that really sucks. If it was fans there, I feel like that WrestleMania moment would be like one of the greatest WrestleMania moments, like title changes in WrestleMania history. At least up there, just because of the fact that, like, from what I've seen, he beat Brock up. Like, he claymored the hell out of him and everything. It was like, I don't know.
lasted
Maybe.
off and on for
Maybe.
almost a full year. Cody is wrestling Brock Lesnar for the second straight pay-per-view without really mentioning Roman Reigns in weeks, and we still don't
Right.
know why Brock and Cody are actually feuding.
No
One
one
of these
knows.
stories seems a little less neat than the other. But in a way, Cody's story has always been less neat. That's the thing. Cody went on the shelf after a heroic performance inside Hell in a Cell, a 5-star match, an unbelievable true-life babyface display of toughness, and then he was gone with the majority of fans immediately deciding, okay, Cody should win the Rumble when he returns. He's earned it. His return was announced in advance of the Royal Rumble for no reason
That was dumb.
whatsoever.
That was dumb.
But Cody did indeed return, and he won the Royal Rumble. And quite.
I feel like the only reason they did that was because they wanted to. I guess they wanted it to be like a confirmation, like for a good reason for you to watch the Royal Rumble is because like Cody is coming back. But I feel like they shouldn't have did that anyway, and shit. It just had to be a surprise, even though everybody knew that Cody was coming back. Still.
Few of the fans were very cross about this because in Cody's absence, the fan-picked chosen one to dethrone Roman had changed from brave Sir Cody to noble Sami Zayn. Also, Cody returned at number 30, ousting the man who, yes, was very big and very Goliathy, but also had been in the match since number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's not your tip.
I don't mean to keep pausing a lot, but I just want to say the reason that I started watching wrestling again last year was because of Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has always been like my top 3 since like the NXT days, but I had started watching because the product was just trash to me. Then once I seen like what he was doing with the Bloodline, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Cause I ain't gonna lie, the Bloodline story I didn't give a damn about until Sami got into it. If I'm gonna be real, bro, like not even just having a biased perspective of him being one of my favorites. It was just like it was a little like it just wasn't my taste. It was a little boring to me. Like, okay, Roman's dominant. Okay, now he's a heel. Congratulations, it's about damn time. But like once Sammy got in there, and then they just started adding different like elements to it, to breaking character and all of that. Like it's like yeah, it just made it more entertaining, you know. And although I did want him to win at Elimination Chamber, I knew he wasn't gonna win. So it's like, you know, we knew what was gonna happen.
Typical underdog babyface story is my point. In fact, it's an overdog babyface story. It's a John Cena story or a babyface Roman Reigns story. Despite this narrative murkiness, fans were still into Cody enough for 2 reasons. One, there's simply no disputing that Hell in a Cell performance. Speaking purely personally, Cody will be forever over with me for that alone. And 2, Cody's story was still good. He and Paul Heyman cut great promos that, yes, featured Dusty a lot, which is a bit of an overused emotional hook, but they felt justified. Roman was Dusty's star pupil in a way that Cody, ironically, never had been. And that small personal distinction was one that was also blown up in a historical corporate sense. In 2016, Roman Reigns won his first WrestleMania main event, and roughly a month later, Cody Rhodes requested his release. Even though
It's funny because the WrestleMania match was shit, but I'm sorry to keep pausing. I'm sorry.
Sami had been involved in the Bloodline in a constantly evolving storyline since August 2022. Cody's story was still strong enough and long enough to keep him positioned in the main event of WrestleMania 39 without too much griping from fans, although it is the wrestling internet, so it will never not happen. In fact, out of a situation where it looked like WWE were going to have another Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns #cancel WWE Network circa 2015 situation on their hands, it looked like WWE were going to be able to pull off a miraculous little balancing act and somehow make everyone happy. The story was very almost this. Sami got his Match of the Year contender at Elimination Chamber in front of his unreal hometown reaction, but failed thanks to Jey Uso interference and Roman weaseling his way out yet again. Sami and KO finally reunite and go after the Usos, and in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1, which is still a WrestleMania main event, which is a hell of a consolation prize for Sami, he and Kevin Owens won. They win
Beautiful
the tag titles off the
Beautiful
Usos
night,
after
by
an
the way.
all-time longest reign. And then, in this parallel universe, in the main event of Night 2, Sami prevents Uso interference in Cody's match, plants a boot on Roman for good measure, you for the bloodline. Cody reaches down deep to access his Super Saiyan. Dusty Rhodes powers, pins Roman to win the Universal title. Despite seeming like a story with too many protagonists, WWE could have just about weaved it all together to show us Cody, Sami, and Kevin Owens essentially Avengers assembling to take everything from the bloodline in one fell glorious swoop.
I should just let him finish that, but I gotta stop pausing too. I just wanted to say, if Cody would have beat Roman that night, I feel like WrestleMania 39 could have been one of the like top 10 greatest WrestleManias of all time, if not top 15, because night one was just damn near perfect. Like everything was going its way. Even the tag team matches, it did better than expected. The Dom Ray thing, Rhea and Charlotte put on a fucking monster match. I don't even like Charlotte, but that match was hard. Like it was just so man. Night two wasn't as good as night one for a bunch of different reasons, but I feel like you know how people is. They remember that one big thing, and that'll just make the whole pay-per-view. Like, that night would have been cool if Cody would have just won. Even though the Edge thing happened and everything, I feel like that Cody win would have just solidified that WrestleMania night as, like, at least really solid.
That was almost the story. But then, Solo Sikoa interfered, Roman won, and vanished again with his titles. And now we have a new world title about to be crowned for Raw. A SmackDown guy is challenging for it at Night of Champions, and Cody and Brock are feuding for unknown reasons. And this story now feels like it's being written by a Schrodinger's cat inside the box. I have no idea if the story is over or not yet. And also, it's really confusing because it's being written by a cat. Point is, let me have a go.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Right, first things first, I've already booked what should have happened in the introduction that just happened. You know, the thing WWE almost booked a near perfect pair of Mania main events and then whoopsie-poopsied it right at the end. You just have Cody win with Sami and KO's help. Everyone gets their revenge. Next night on Raw, have Cody vacate the Universal title because A, the WWE title is the belt his dad never won. It was the only title Cody ever really wanted. And B, he's not Roman Reigns, so it's not his dream to squat on top of all of WWE's gold like a Samoan Smaug. Basically do a version of the tournament they did for the new World Heavyweight title, but just have it be for the Universal Championship, have that be crowned off at Backlash, and have a winner-take-all six-man tag match, Sami, Kevin, and Cody versus the Usos and Roman, all the belts on the line. Have Edge win the Universal title, the only current title in WWE that he's never won, and have him pledge to retire the day he loses it. Because remember when Edge put that video tweet out before the World Heavyweight tournament and everyone collectively agreed, oh yeah, that's a really good story. Oh, they should do that. And they didn't. Then have the bloodline lose thanks to miscommunication. Romo and Solo brutalize Jimmy or Jay, forcing them to choose between Roman and his brother. Then you start a feud between Jay and Roman going into SummerSlam. That's what I would have done. Cody, Sami, and Kevin have the last word in that storyline before everyone starts building off brand new feuds. Happy days. That's it.
Literally.
That's not the end of the video. I mean, that's how they should have booked it done. But because that's a bit easy, have a 2 for booking on me. Let's do a how WWE should book, as in just before Night of Champions, which is when this is being recorded, by the way. How did WWE finish the story from here? Because let's be honest, WWE was always going to let Roman get to 1,000 days, weren't they? Because remember, Roman was supposed to be wrestling The Rock at WrestleMania 39, because it was in Hollywood and films and that. And I don't think people would have been complaining this hard about Roman still being champion after 1,000 days if him versus The Rock was the big match of the weekend. They would have been like, yeah, all right, fair enough. Probs shouldn't have been Dwayne. And then Roman would have hit 1,000 days of Night of Champions, like he's definitely gonna. And then probably then people would have talked about, all right, but seriously, now what? Because that's the issue. I think Roman has done wonders for the company hierarchy up until this point. The world titles have never felt as valuable as they do now. Well, until they had the third one, which definitely feels less valuable right now. In order to tell an engaging story, there does still need to be an idea of what comes next post-Roman, and No one has felt like a more convincing example of what could be the next step than Cody. So it should still be him.
I just got a question. Did any of the fans for real, did any of y'all care that he would hit 1,000 days? Cause let's be real. Who gives a damn about that Universal title? I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, they started fucking this shit up when he beat Brock at WrestleMania 38, bro. Why did they unify the titles? What was the point of that, bro? I get it. Roman made the Universal title seem bigger than what it is and everything, but a lot of that is WWE's fault, bro, with they fucking booking decisions. And I'm not hating on Roman. I think he's done a phenomenal job with what he's been dealt with the tribal chief and everything. Like, it's been all right. Like, it's been cool, but it's just a question. Like, did y'all really give a fuck about him like hitting 1,000 days? Because when he lose the belt, who cares about that title? Nobody at all. Nobody. Cause don't like people like I don't know.
In my opinion. And I'm going to try and wrap up a bunch of stuff as I finish his story. So we start just before Night of Champions on the go-home Raw. Cody and Brock are going to sign the contract for their match at the pay-per-view, and Cody, again, just wants to know why. Why'd you do it, Brock? Why did you attack me the night after WrestleMania? Brock makes Cody a deal. If you can defeat me at Night of Champions on the Raw after that show, I'll tell you why. And no, before you say anything, I am not accepting Wade Barrett's apparent explanation that he overheard Brock being annoyed that his match at Mania went on first and Cody's match went on last. The idea that Brock would be peeved in his little shorts about his match with Omos being not as well placed as the Royal Rumble winner challenging for the top championship of the company, that is very funny indeed, especially when you imagine Brock probably lobbied to go on first so he could get back to his ranch in time for a Jimmy John's before bedtime. At Night of Champions, Brock is standing on the second rope with Cody on his shoulders, about to hit a super F5 when Cody slips back, grabs Brock's head, and twists in midair to hit an avalanche crossroads. He pins Brock Lesnar. 1, 2, 3. Super clean, super definitive, feud over. Thank you. Cody gets to his feet, and he and Brock actually shake hands. Later on in that same show, Roman and Solo are facing off against Sami and KO for the tag titles when Jey Uso slides in the ring to help while the ref's distracted. He aims for a super kick at Sami, but he ducks and Jey accidentally strikes Solo Sikoa instead. Solo stumbles back into the ropes, into a stunner from KO. Solo stumbles back into the corner. Sami hits the haluva kick, pins Solo, and Sami and Kev retain their titles. Now, the next Raw, Cody and Brock share the ring. Brock tells Cody that he doesn't respect anyone, so don't go Cody thinking he's earned Brock's respect. But Brock is a man of his word. He points to the Tron and shows some footage. It's backstage from the Raw after WrestleMania, CCTV footage. Paul Heyman walks into Brock's dressing room with a briefcase. Brock tells Paul that after everything he's done with Roman, Paul's got balls walking into Brock's room. Paul's got balls, by the way, would be a great Alan Partridge-style football-themed home video for Paul Heyman to do and after he retires. That just popped into my head. Brock pins Paul against the wall and Paul stammers, "Look, I know you don't care about friends, I know you don't care about me, but you do care about money. Look in that briefcase."
For damn sure.
It's full of money. A peace offering from the tribal chief. It's yours if you end Cody Rhodes' career. Brock smiles in the ring with Cody. Just business. He leaves the ring. Cody takes a mic, looks down the lens of the camera. "Roman, I will see you on Friday." That Friday's SmackDown opens as Roman Reigns comes to the ring with the full bloodline in tow and gets on the mic, and just as he's about to start speaking, Cody jumps the barricade and starts attacking the entire bloodline with a lead pipe. Eventually, security guards run in, restrain Cody, put him in handcuffs. Cody breaks free to try and attack Roman one more time, but Solo Sikoa grabs him and hits him with the Samoan.
The only thing I didn't get about this is I understand this story, but then you gotta think like actually you don't have to think. People be getting mad because people be cross-branding on other shows after they get drafted, and the draft was before Night of Champions, I believe, because that's how SmackDown got AJ and all of that. If you think about it, bro, him going to SmackDown makes sense because Roman Reigns is the undisputed champion, so it wouldn't be that serious, and it's Cody Rhodes. But you know how people be like, "Oh my God, they don't know how to do a brand split." They don't. But Shit, you gotta do this, bro. You gotta get the titles off this man.
Spike. Cody stumbles to his feet into a spear from Roman, who grabs the pipe and cracks it just once across Cody's head, who then has to be helped out by paramedics. Cut to the main event on the same episode of SmackDown. Right at the end of the show, the Bloodline come out again. "Now," says Roman, before I was so rudely interrupted. Roman then turns his attention to Jey Uso. "I keep telling you, and I keep telling you, not to get involved in my matches unless I tell you to. How am I supposed to keep this family together unless you do as you're told? Jimmy, how am I supposed to get your Uso to do as he's told? This is how, Jimmy. You're going to stay in that corner. You're going to do as you're told, and you're going to watch." Solo! Solo Sikoa grabs Jey Uso, his older brother, and just as he's about to hit the Samoan spike, Jimmy gets on the mic and begs Roman, "Please, who's been with you longer than Jey? Years ago, when you first became the tribal chief, who was the first to fall in line? It wasn't me, Uso. It was Jey. He's your blood. He's Solo's blood. He's my blood." "Sure," says Roman. "But what's he done for me lately?" He nods at Solo, and Solo hits Jey with the Samoan spike. Jimmy cradles his brother, but Roman just says into the mic, "Stand aside, Jimmy." Solo hesitates. He looks at Roman. Roman gets in his face, tells him to pick Jey up. Solo does. Roman tells him to do it again. Solo reaches back, hits Jey with another Samoan spike. Then another. Then another. All as Jimmy watches, sat in the corner, nearly catatonic, just this blank look on his face. Now on Raw, Cody talks with Triple H in the ring.
I don't know
He
about
says
that.
he tried to be a good sport about it. After he was screwed at WrestleMania by Solo
Maybe.
interference, he didn't want to whine, he didn't want to complain. When Roman was drafted to another brand and Cody was kept on Raw, he didn't want to whine, he didn't want to complain. But now that Roman has tried to end his career, Cody has a sickness. He can't stop. He won't stop until he gets his hand on Roman one more time. He demands to Triple H that Trips drafts him to SmackDown. Triple H refuses. "You're not the executive vice president around here. I'm afraid you don't get to make those kinds of decisions. But here's what
That's
I'll do.
hard.
You can have a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Doesn't take a cerebral assassin to work out what you could use that for. So this all leads to Money in the Bank. Cody is in the men's ladder match, and the main event in London for us is Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns 3. Now, as the bloodline disintegrates, we go back to where it began. Jey versus Roman. Trust me when I say, in the UK, we are ready for this match. We will be kind.
Well, I guess we getting Jey versus Roman at SummerSlam. I feel like he's just doing the same thing just at an earlier time. Cody being in Money in the Bank, I feel like a lot of people thought that he was going to be in Money in the Bank anyway, but he didn't for some reason. Who the hell knows? And then they gave it to Damian Priest, which I'm not mad about. LA Knight is over now. Feel like Cody could have won Money in the Bank, and then they could have got this shit done at SummerSlam. But I'm not mad at Damian Priest winning. It's just that Cody probably finna win the Royal Rumble again. Then Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania 40, and I'm ready for this shit to be over. I'm sorry.
To this match. Cody Rhodes wins Money in the Bank, and in the main event, the ref goes down. Roman tells Solo to hit Jey with the spike. Solo hesitates. Roman slaps Solo across the face, and Solo just leaves. Roman is shouting after him when he turns around into a super kick from Jimmy Uso. The Usos hit the double splash on Roman. Jey covers him. 1, 2. Solo pulls the ref out of the ring. He's back. He's in a huge conflict about what to do. He's pressing his palms into his head. He doesn't know the right thing to do. Solo hits the spike on Jimmy. Roman hits the spear on Jey, covers him for the win. But as the show goes off the air, Roman looks at Solo, and Solo looks at Roman. The Raw after Money in the Bank, Cody comes to the ring with the briefcase. "So, what do you guys want to talk about?" Cody looks down the lens. "Roman, 3 months ago, you couldn't beat me at WrestleMania without your family's help. 3 months ago, you tried to use a briefcase to take everything away from me. I'm going to use this briefcase to take everything away from you. I am
Okay.
cashing in my Money in the Bank contract for my rematch against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. And this
So
time
John
I'm not
Cena,
doing
basically.
it for my dad. I'm
John
not
Cena.
doing it for anyone but me. Roman, time's up. In lead up to SummerSlam, on Raw, Cody and Paul Heyman have another promo similar to the one they shared before WrestleMania. Paul compliments Cody but tells him, "You'll never finish the story." Because, you see, that would require the tribal chief to finish his own story, the one that started at SummerSlam 3 years ago, back when you were somewhere else. Roman was making his return and shocking the world. That story that Roman is telling runs through The Fiend, Braun Strowman, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Edge, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, John Cena, Finn Balor, Brock Lesnar, Big E, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Sami Zayn, and you. When will you realize, Cody, this isn't your story? You're just the latest chapter in the story of Roman Reigns. Cody tells Paul, "You know, the one thing my dad always told me about Paul Heyman, and it's true, you talk too much." Cody hits the crossroads on Paul Heyman.
Shout
On
out
SmackDown,
Botchamania.
Roman holds an emergency council with Solo. "Solo, I need you to listen to me. Paul is hurt. Your brothers have turned their back on the family. It's you and me. We are at war, Solo. And right now, we need to be a family. Everything I have done for this family, for my blood. But none of you will listen to me." He's starting to go a bit mad. "Maybe I found some blood, though, that you will listen to." Roman brings out Rikishi, the father of Jimmy, Jay, and of course, the third Uso, Solo Sikoa. Roman gets in Rikishi's face. He tells Rikishi to acknowledge him. Rikishi does, but he reminds Roman that this is not what the Anoa'i family is all about. The head of the table doesn't rule by fear. He rules with respect. Then says Roman, "With respect, please tell your son to fall in line." Rikishi tells Solo, "He is your tribal chief. You should do as he commands." Roman thanks Rikishi, and then tells Solo to hit his father with the Samoan spike. Solo
Boy,
grabs his
hell.
father's face racked with indecision. Rikishi just looks at him and closes his eyes.
I can see that happening.
Solo hits his own father with the Samoan spike. The final segment before SummerSlam is the contract signing. Roman sits at the head of the table. Solo sits opposite Cody. Roman does a speech about how Cody can't win the big one. It'll be WrestleMania all over again. 1,000 million little hearts will break across the internet because it doesn't matter. And the world will still turn. And the sun will rise once again on the island of relevancy. When Roman is done, Cody simply signs the contract, picks up the mic and says, not to Roman, but to Solo, "The time we have left with our fathers, it runs out too quickly. Trust me on that one." And then he just leaves. The main event of SummerSlam, Cody versus Roman 2. Like WrestleMania, the referee goes down, but this time Solo has Cody in his hands. He's ready to deliver the spike, but he doesn't. He lets Cody go. Roman screams, "What are you doing?" And Solo hits Roman Reigns with a Samoan spike. Cody grabs Roman, hits him with a crossroads, not once, not twice, but thrice. Pins Roman to become the new undisputed champion. Roman goes away, but when he comes back, he feuds with Solo. He can run roughshod through his whole family, in fact. Maybe he goes insane, and that's how you get to him versus The Rock at Mania 40, if anyone still cares about that. I'm sure we might in the future. Cody consolidates the belts, gets one new belt, finally, that looks a little bit more like a winged eagle than it does like a business card. You have the WWE Championship on SmackDown, you have the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw, and somehow it's 2002 all over again. Except some of us have less hair. And that is how I would finish Cody Rhodes' story. And also...
That was a good video, man. I can see where he was coming from some of this. It was definitely a good idea to plan something like this. Because this was before Night of Champions, so this was pretty solid. Not necessarily in the same direction that WWE is going in right now, but I think they're planning on Roman going crazy and all of that. You know, whatever. Cody has to finish this story. they're prolonging this, like they're really getting their money's worth out of this shit, and this shit could have been done literally at SummerSlam, the next pay per view, but it's not. They're gonna wait till WrestleMania 40. That's the end of the video, man. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and I'm out, man.